On behalf of BLITZ, the Computer Science Society of 𝘔𝘰𝘯𝘓 𝘈𝘳𝘢, I, Simridyol, Secretary of BLITZ Society, welcome you all to today's webinar on the topic Data Analytics using Tableau and Microsoft Excel. I would like to extend a very warm welcome to our speaker of the day, Dr. Monika Arora, and all the teachers. I would like to take this opportunity to express my heartfelt gratitude to you all for attending this webinar. To begin with, I would like to request the convener of our society, Bhavna ma'am, to enlighten us with her encouraging thoughts. Over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thank you, Simrat, and good afternoon, all. And I, Dr. Bhavna Gupta, convener Grit Society, welcomes you all for this particular event. And Dr. Monika Arora, ma'am, associate professor in Apeejay School of Management. And ma'am, the topic which you have taken for this webinar is really very encouraging for our students. Data science field is nowadays going on, you can say, very much in demand. So I hope that students are going to learn new techniques for the data science using Tableau and the Excel, and definitely these techniques are going to help these students. Welcome you again, ma'am, and please enlighten our students about your data analytics topics. Thank you. Over to you, Simran.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your valuable thoughts. Today, we are honored to have with us Dr. Monika Arora. Ma'am is working as an associate professor at Apeejay School of Management, New Delhi. She has more than 24 years of mixed experience in teaching and industry in the areas of information technology and operations. She has worked with many companies like Nucleus Software Exports Limited, as well as Platinum Education and Global Information System Technology. As a resource person, she has delivered sessions in Management Development Program on RStudio, Python, data visualization using Tableau, analytics and business modeling, project risk management, and project management. She has conducted many sessions for senior citizens on how to make elderly tech smart. She has also conducted various training programs for students of numerous colleges and universities. She has worked on consulting assignment for a university and Royal Government of Bhutan. She has also developed and implemented various in-house projects and templates for Apeejay School of Management. Ma'am also has a strong inclination towards teaching, training, and research. Her areas of interest include data mining, e-commerce, data retrieval, and analytics. She has numerous research papers published in national as well as international journals. She played a role as a reviewer in International Journal of Indian Culture and Business Management and Benchmarking. She is also the co-chair and chair of various conferences in Delhi region. In addition, she has also published a book on efficient and intelligent data retrieval in semantic web. Ma'am, over to you. Please begin with the session.
Ma'am, you are not audible.
Sorry.
Monika, ma'am?
Yeah. Thank you, Bhavna ma'am. Thank you, Smriti, for inviting me for this session. Thank you for the student coordinators. I am in touch with Udit and the Aftar, I suppose. So they are regular in touch with me regarding this session. So I feel very happy to, while interacting with the student. And over the time, I have been developed this area of the analytics and this area which has if I say the pandemic time, which has been cursed to most of us, but I have taken this opportunity and enlightened this time for developing a new skills that is the analytics one. So when I think my slide is visible, right? Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. It's visible.
So firstly, I start with a brief about my slide. So this is my overall journey. If I explain you, I have worked with 4 years in Nucleus, as already Smrit has defined. Then I have almost 20 years of experience in Apeejay School of Management. Over the time, if you can see that the analytical skills which has been developed in last 2.5, 3 years is the R software, Tableau, Python, Power BI, and so learning never stops. So this is what I want to convey. Like at this particular age, if I am studying, then it seems to be that learning always have to be learned, whether you have being reached to a very good position, very good college, very good like if you want to go for a higher studies, or if you have placed in a good company, but never stop learning, right? So this is a common message that I want to give to all of you, that whatever be you are into, but you have to have the learn according to what is your requirement. And this is something which is related to data. And if you think that if you find out that how the data can be used and in any of your any organization when you join in, so you can find out that the learning is something, or say data is something which can give you a right direction for your decision making. The learn according. So this is about my college. So that is having accreditation as all the college has. It has been ranked in B School 17, ranked in India private B School, and this. So I just right. So when I talk about the data and analytics, I just take you to the brief about the data analytics, and then we move to the our topic, that is something called as the data analytics, which is when you talk about the data analytics in terms of Excel, because we are more focused on Tableau. So we talk about the visual analytics. Because data analytics has a very much spectrum. It has different types of analytics, where you can have the prescriptive analytics, predictive analytics, right? So that has a overall different spectrum of analytics. But as a discussion with the student and Udit, and so what I believe that you already had a session on Python related to data analytics. So I am more focused on the another part of the analytics, that is called as the visual analytics, where we will be considering the data, the Excel as well as the Tableau. So when we said about the what the analytics is. So if I see that is my the street hawker use analytics, or if you use analytics, right? So if I ask a simple question and try to have the answers from all of you, like a street hawker use analytics, yes or no? So can I have answers in the chat box?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah,
I can place my view.
Yes, can they use chat box?
Okay.
No.
I think participants can use chat
No,
box.
ma'am, we do not have access to chat box. We just ask them to raise their hand and give their thoughts. Then we will change their settings to allow mic, and then they can speak up.
Fine.
So we can allow the students to raise their hands. Simrat, can you announce?
Yeah, so raise your hand, those who want to give the answer. Yeah, Simrat?
Yes, ma'am. I think they do use data analytics.
Okay, fine.
But in a different form, not like the way we have computers.
Right. So if I say as an individual, like say when the hawker is taking his cart over the sectors, right? So did he use analytics? So when I say what is the purpose, or what is the data analytics is something where we all uses, right? We all uses one or the other way. If I talk about the data analytics, is the data which you already have. So it is not only when we talk about the data is in the millions of the data records which we have, but it is something when you are going to take a step ahead or to take a decision, right? So you have to take the data in place, or you have to have a behavior of customer in place based on the data of the history records or the past data. So when I say the hawker, right, so he is taking a routine route from moving out to one sector to the another sector. And if we find out based on his history record, so for the analytics, the history record is very, very important. So based on the history, based on the, he has a certain experience in who are the members, who are the people who are living, what is the status of the people, what kind of vegetables or the fruits he can have. So that's depend upon many factors. That depends upon the purchases which has already made. That depends upon the number of cars, the big cars that a particular lane has. Right. So this can be the criteria where the hawker can take the decision, and it is nothing but it is what the analytics is. So analytics is basically giving you to take the decision forward, right? To take for the decision making. So why we use analytics, or why the company uses analytics, is it gives you an idea like how to go about while you are taking a certain steps. Like say it can be as simple as when you have a data of a particular age group of people, particular salaried or annual salary people, particular age group of people is coming to that particular shop, right? So they have a certain trend at how this can be happened. So when we say that how this can be happened, it is something where you can be depending upon, or where you can search for. So when you say that based upon the trend, based on the trend, now what are the steps that you have to take? It can be depending upon, like say, I think you have ever have the experience of analytics when you book a ticket. It can be the way where you can find out that how the rates of the yatra is gone on increasing when the time of the flight is close to you, or when your flight time is very close to the to that particular date. So there is a model which is playing a very important role, that is based on the data, history data, which is there, and that is going to help you. Similarly, when we say that if how the trend will go for the age of the people and the experience of the people, so you can have you can have a trend in either it can be in the retail shop, or it can be anything, right? If you are looking for the data which is there for the hospital data, or for say for the patient data, you can easily recall based on what are the factors which are depending upon whether the person is fit or the person is infected with some disease. So based on the categories, or if I say based on the properties of the data, the property of the data can be when you talk about the hospital data, it can be, or when you talk about the patient data, it can be the age of the person, it can be the weight of the person, it can be the BP, it can be sugar level, etc., etc., right? So it depends upon the model which you are creating. If you are creating a model which is based on, which can be an analytical model, so how this analytical model, based on the model if you have decided upon, and when you apply this analytical model, you can find out that what is going to be for the future records. Like say if the patient enter into the system, then you can easily find out, like say based on these are the trends which are considered for the past record, how it can be seen to that particular patient. Right. So you instead of having for going for all the necessary, like the hospitals ever go for all the everything, like what are the steps that they have to go for, but they can take the decision based on the history data, and they can move to the decision, or they can move to the results at a very early stage. Similarly, when you are purchasing something, we go for a Google and check for the reviews, etc. Even if you can see that the Google Analytics, if the Google Analytics can be the one word where when you see that if I am searching for a particular like say a particular definition, and I can easily find out that that is the definition which has been searched by many people, so that I can get a more appropriate definition of say data analytics, right? So if I search for the data analytics, I get more appropriate. How I get the more appropriate definition? Because there are many people who have already searched and they have clicked on that particular definition. So based on the history, because it has been in when you say about the demographic, it has been of your age group, it has been of your friends, right? Because if you can see that the Gmail is connected to Facebook, right, and the Google is connected to Gmail, right? So you can see that there is a linkages between all. Right. So when as an individual, as a student, Aman can search for say data analytics, he get the results and he see that most of the results are in the first 10 links, and if he clicks the 2 links, that gets a more weightage as compared to the other 10 links. So this is how your data has been. So we are the one who are using that data, who are making that data to be more useful. And when the another student say Radhika search for a data analytics, he get the more appropriate data, because these two students are already linked with each other, right? So how they are being linked? They are the Facebook friends, right? So if you have this data is being coming to the Google from many places. You have the YouTube has a link with Google, right? Then Gmail is being in Google. So there are many more users which has been connected as friend of friend kind of thing, right? So there is a concept called friend of friend, where you can easily find out that what else. So this is for related for something for the searching, right? When you go for a Google search. So in the same way, this can be considered for the other applications as well. So when you go for a search, or when you go for any other application or any other maybe the apps, or it can be because apps is again considering or taking your data into it, and then based on your data, based on your preferences, it can be seen, it can be considered. So this is, I have just given you a background of how the data is being important, and data is playing a very important role in terms of taking decision. So when I say data is a new oil of digital economy, right? So yes, data is a new oil, because the whole economy, the whole digital economy is based on the decision, based on any steps forward, you have to rely on the data, and data is something which is flowing, right? So it is not something like if I have used the data, it has been considered, or it can be used. So this is something which has been at the real time, and it has been changing over the time. So if I say that if I have taken some decision today, maybe 15 days down the line, it is the data is something which is saying something else, right? So I have to basically look for the continuous evolvement of the data, continuous transformation of the data, right? So if there is a new variant which has come in and it has an effect in the economy, so that data which speaks about it, maybe there can be the certain requirement of the industry, then the company has to certainly shift with the different spectrum of the products and services based on the requirement of the industry. So this is how your data, which is very, very important. When we talk about the data analytics which has a different phases. The data is, you can get the data, as we have seen that the data which is coming from some important sources, and also that we are also providing the data. If I say how many of you have uses the Ola or Uber cab. Yes, Simrit says yes, yes. Okay. So, and how many of users have users map when you drive, right? So Agam says yes. Okay. So do we use Google Map while we are driving? Yes, Udit, Simrit. Okay. Yes. So what basically we are doing when we are having a Google Map while driving? Anyone? Can you allow Simrit so that someone can speak out?
Actually, we have allowed them to use the chat box. So if anyone wants to answer, we can put the answer in the chat box.
Post it, fine, fine. So you can put it in the chat box. So how the Google Map work? How they are going to give you the real time picture of the traffic in your way? Any idea how it has been worked on?
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning.
Ma'am, basically it is working on the routing algorithms.
Okay, right. Routing algorithms for the shortest path?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and how real-time data it has been fetching? Or the real-time data? Yeah, yes. Any idea? Because routing algorithm is perfectly fine, because that is the one time when you have searched for something. So based on the algorithm, that is the shortest path. You can search for, like, say, from this location. If I suppose from Dwarka I have to go to Noida, right? So what is the shortest path? I can easily define. But what about the real-time data which I will be getting, like when I cross the Palam, there is a red bar or there is a red line, so that the traffic is going to be slow or there is a high traffic that area. Any idea?
Maybe on the basis of previous situation on that route, and probably the satellite is continuously analyzing the traffic.
Okay.
That's how the data is retrieved.
Yeah. So, Simrit, yeah, the satellite is everything is in place and they are working according to that. When we are having our internet on and we are going to that particular road, right? So it can be easily judged upon that how much time it has been taken from me to from one location to another location, right? So who has been forward, like who has been following me, like say who has been maybe half an hour or maybe 15-20 minutes after who has started 15-20 minutes after me, then he get, because my data is on, right? So my when I put my data on, so the data which I will be using through my phone has been populated in the cloud or in the internet, right? So that data has been basically with the data which I am so everybody is giving the data to the cloud, right? Or to the so that these applications can have a better judgment. They can have a better judgment and they can be more appropriate or according to the route which you follow. So that is the simple thing, because we are providing the data. When we search for something, we are providing the data. When we buy something, right? When we purchase something, we are giving the data to the system. When you are playing the video of a YouTube, when you are saying like or when you are saying subscribe, you are providing the data to the system. So everyone of us is giving data to the system. Then only we can get so appropriately done with what the companies are doing, right? So this is also, it is not only like, say, when you are using, so what kind of the data format that we are sharing? Like when we talk about Excel, we talk about only the numeric data. But there are different types of data that has been in place. Like when I say that there is pictures, right? So you can share the photos, you can share the videos, right? We can share if you're recording this Zoom session, so it can be shared on some platform. So this is how there are many formats of the data which has been shared over the time. So if you talk about, like, say, with this pandemic time, because the students are learning online, there are new applications which has been used. It can be Zoom, it can be other applications like the Teams, Microsoft Teams, and etc. Similarly, the Google as well, right? So these are all the platforms where you are having collection of the data. It can be in the video formats, it can be in the picture format, it can be any n number of formats. So when you talk about the data, it is not only in the numeric format, it is in the n number of formats. It is in the format of videos, pictures, voice recordings, right? So these are all considered to be even the Google Map with satellite pictures and etc. So that all can be considered as a geospatial data. So these are the different types of data that considered when you are looking for the analytics. So analytics is not only considered to be a numeric data, but it can be. So when you analyze the data, you visualize the data, right? So considered to be the data, you get the data, analyze the data, visualize the data. In terms of visualization, you are easily able to find out how my data look like. So you can publish the data and consume the data for future purposes. So it is not only that you has to be consumed for your next decision as well. So then this analytics job, or say when you say that if it is not used for, so it has to be communicated properly to the proper person so that it can be used when you are taking the decision for taking it to next level. Data is everywhere, right? So if you can see the massive of the data, that is 2.5 like quillion of the data which is generated in a single day in the unstructured and semi-structured format. So when you talk about the structured format, it is only in the form of rows and columns in Excel. But when we see now, if you talk about in the unstructured format, there are or unstructured format, there can be a text, there can be when we write a long messages in email, that is considered to be a semi-structured, where the text analytics is going to come into picture. When you talk about the structured data, then we have the Excel is one of the popular tool. And when we talk about the unstructured data, there can be a Python, there can be R, which supports for structured data as well, which supports for unstructured data as well. Like if you have an image, or if you have a image of a certain, like say when if you remember that when there is a second wave of corona, we have there are some people of IIT who has been considered, or who has been where the machine scans the heart, where the machine scans the lungs, and you are able to identify that how much infection is there. So there can be a picture of the lung where, or the scan or the X-ray of the lungs, which has been as a history data, and based on the new data which is coming, it can be considered as at what stage the lung has affected, something like that. So this is how when you consider the unstructured data or the semi-structured data, you are able to, that is also in place where there were new tools are evolving. There is a Hadoop, I think there is Python recently has taken up R as well. So earlier we used to do the analytics in R, but recently it is more convenient to use Python because that has been linked to your apps in the Google Drive. So this is how over the time you can find out that there are many practices, there are many techniques that has been considered and used for all the companies, and they are open source, they are freeware, so that can be easily used and easily considered for the taking the decision. These are the types of data I think we have considered. That is a numeric data, that is image there, right? So text data, etc. So when you we use the analytics as a visual analytics, if you can consider, if you can see that can be the one part of the analytics that is called as the visual analytics, because here we are discussing about the Tableau and we are discussing about the Excel. So moving to the small exercise in the Excel. So my slide is visible, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So when you talk about the data visualization and data mining, right? So there is a simple concept when we start about the data. So data is raw facts and figures, right? When I say the student A, student B is having a height, say 7.2 or say 6.1 and 5.4, something like that, right? So that is considered to be the data. When I move to the data mining is something when I mine the data according to my interest, right? So if I say I mine the data, I want to consider only from the age of like say 10 to 20 years, right? So I had mined the data on a particular cluster. So I want to apply a certain technique, I want to apply a certain conditions based on that mine data, right? So mining can be done on, I can create different marts, I can create different groups based on the different conditions where I can use and where I can follow. When I talk about the data visualization is something which is a mental vision, which is an image, which is a picture, right? Where I can easily find out the flow, right? Where I can imagine, like say if the line is bigger, it means that there is a high expenditure or there is a high sales. If the line is small, there is a small sales which has happened in that particular area or something. So graphics can be something where you can easily point out and you easily see, easily visualize, and the data can be interpreted in terms of visualization. So visualization is a computer graphics that can create a visual images. And when we talk about the data and when we talk about the data sets, we can have in terms of charts, in terms of tables, the visualization can be considered. So when I say that what is the difference between, so visualization can be of two types. One can be in the form of table where you can actually see the figure, and one can be in the terms of charts or graphs. So there can be two types of visualization. Table, if you need a specific values, and if it contains a shape of values, then we will be using the graphs. If you want to precisely compare the related values, like if it is something called as 7.1 and 7.2, then in case that you will be using a table. But in graph, if you want to reveal the relationship between the multiple values, similarity and differences, show the general trends, right? So if it is 7 and 7.1, if you are played in terms of graph, so it is more like a saying. But if you use the table for that, you can easily compare between the two. You can have a multiple data sets with a unit of for the measures. You can use a large data set for in case when you are using the graph. Graphs and tables can be for the different purposes. You can choose the appropriate option which is there. So when you talk about the visualization, these are the major type of visualization, that is a relationship between one variable to another. Composition, it can be a comparison between the multiple items, and it can be a distribution where you can have a distribution over the line. So you can have a histogram kind of thing where you can, or a scatter plot or a line part. So you can compare. So not taking it into the so sorry for the disturbance. Okay. So yeah, so I just take you to the, so what kind of different types of graphs which are available? I think most of the graphs, if you have used Excel, so most of the graphs have been used by you. So if I take a scatter plot, so if I have the two columns, one can be the x-axis and the y-axis. I can simply select and I can plot my graph. Right, so if I put a scatter plot, I can easily see the trend of the how it can be moved from 0 to 50 and what is the trend line of the sales, right? So it has more or less, I have just taken a dummy data to plot a scatter plot. So if I say that this can be the one of the plot, the second plot of the relationship can be the bubble plot. So these are all the plots, all the which are available in the Excel 10 and the higher version. So if you have Excel 10 and higher version, you can see that these are the plots which are available in in the chart option in your in your Excel. So if I say that this is the bubble chart, why I am just taking you to the, because when we are using the Tableau, you can see all this chart effectively, and you can actually relate the things. So there I don't have to explain all the charts. So when I talk about the 3 dimensions, so a scatter plot is 2 dimension. When we talk about the 3 dimensions, so if you can see that it is being plotted for the number of products in sales. So if I say that how the percentage of market share or where I have to look for, so I can say that it can be looked for the maximum bubble is say 42, right? So this is the 42, which is the bigger bubble, and if I can relate it to so it is 22 and 3200, right? So it is 22 and 3200, which is considered to be the bigger bubble. So if I have to increase my market share, so I have to take care of my number of products as well as the sales, something like that, right? So it can be considered in that way, where I have the 3 dimension, where based on 1 and 2, if I want to take a certain decision on the second on the another column, so I can easily find out, I can easily relate it to where I have to work more upon, so that I can get the more market share in this particular area. So according to your expertise, according to your area of the subjects which you can, so you can always be relate to it, how it can be work for your scenarios or your organization which you are planning to work upon. So when I talk about the brand, and there are different brands, and if I see that how the sales over the years, so this is one of the chart where I can have the stacked chart. So based on the different types of line, I can identify that with different color of line, I can see that the overall, I can see that Pepe has the overall sales in last 3 years. Right, and if I considered for the year 2017, 18 and 19, so I can easily compare between the 3. So 2017 is the maximum sales then as compared to 2018 and 2009, right? The overall sales of Pepe is more. And if I compare with the gray line, like recently or say 2019, how the companies has performed. So if I see that the Wildcard has a maximum gray line, right? So they have performed much more in 2019 as compared to any other companies for when you compare for 2017, 18 and 19, right? So it gives you a clear picture about for the overall and as well as for the individual. So this kind of considerations where you can look for the, where you have to consider as a whole and as a individual, then you can look for as a overall for 3 years, then you can look for the chart as the stacked chart. There is another chart called as the area chart. So area chart is again when you see that the color which is the orange color which is not visible, the same data I have used for this area chart as well. So 2018 data which is not being visible because 2019 as well as the 2017 data which is much more as compared to 2018. So you can see somewhere here is 2018 for Adidas, right? Adidas ka you can see a small spot on for the orange. Otherwise for other all brands there were no such remarkable sales in 2018. Right, so there you can have an area and you can find out the comparison. This can be one of the chart. Then you have a pie chart. Pie chart is again an important chart where you don't have to consider, if you have number, you simply have to draw out the percentages, right? So if I don't have to calculate the percentage, I simply can draw a chart and the chart automatically gives me the percentage. So if you have this kind of data where you have the actual figures and you want a comparison in terms of percentages, you can simply look for the percentages by defining a pie chart. So if you have more than one options, like say, don't consider for a pie chart. Like say, if you have 3-4 options, like here we have only the 3 options which are there. So we use the pie chart, but if you have maybe 7-8 categories which are there, then it is difficult for defining in the pie chart, right? So it is too many segments are harder to compare in the pie chart. Then you look for the bar chart or some different charts, right? So that is there. If you have 3, 4, 5, then and it can be easily comparable in terms of when you have 3 or 2, 3, 4 or something. But if you have more than that, then that is going to be very difficult. So in that particular case, you can go for a bar chart. There is another chart called as the waterfall chart. Waterfall chart, if you can see the comparison, if you can see that it has been taken over, like if you have a 34 and then 54 and so on and so, right? So there is a certain lack of certain decrease of 50 units so that it can be seen in terms of waterfall charts. This is a waterfall chart which is again there in Tableau as well. Next, there are the comparison items for different categories where you can look for the different like pivot tables. Pivot tables you can have, and you can find it in the chart format, also in the form of table format, where I can have the categories, say east, west, north, and inside that I can again have a categories for say the AB, right? So this is a data and this is a plot where you can see if you want overall for east, north, and west, you can have it. If you want individually for A, B, and C with respect to the east, then you can again have a data according to that, or chart according to that. There is one more chart called as the spider chart, where you can, if the same kind of the comparisons between there for the different units or the different brands. So if you have a Alto, if you have Baleno, and there I have considered the 6 brands of cars, and based on the price, appearance, and mileages, I have just given some dummy data and try to find out how it looks like, right? So if it is close to, also this is a 10, then 8, right? So you can have a gray lines which is starting from 0 to 10, and then that can be compared over the graphs. So this can be one of the that is called as the spider in the spider shape. So that is called as the spider. There's another called as the bar chart. Bar chart and column chart. Normally, it is said that if you are looking for some the sales or something where, or the sale percent performances, then go for a bar chart. Else, if you are seeing the right, so it is only way like which visualization you feel better. If it is somewhat where you want to have a comparison, like bar chart as well as column chart. Is column chart, you have one have a vertical lines and one have a horizontal lines, right? So this is the only difference between the two. You can have according to your preference, you can go for any of the chart. But if the chart is somewhat like, say, when we say that when you have to compare with the others in the running line, then you go for a bar chart, else you go for a column chart. A line chart, again, over the time, if you want to consider something, then you can consider a line chart. And then there is a overtime column. So there is a column chart for the sales where you can identify that the 3 means, okay, 3 is 2008, which has a maximum sales which has happened. Right, so there are representation of bar chart as well as if you want to have a boys and girls or any other column, how to go about it based on your consideration, based on the comparison which you want. You can have it in terms of the more than one entries also in case of bar charts. This is the area chart which can be considered, right? So these are the different charts that are, I think scatter plot is there. This is one of the important chart. This is nothing but it is now when you go for a conditional formatting, you can set for the different colors, and these are the colors which can be seen in the chart. And this is the something called as the heat map. Heat map, if you say that the more heat or the more bigger the value is the blue one, and the less value is the red one, right? So you can have a different colors combination where you can select and where you can and this is there in the Tableau as well. This heat map is also there in the Tableau as well. There's another chart called as the tree map, because normally what all we do is we are stick to 3 or 4 charts only. Like there can be a pie, there can be bar chart, but these are the charts are also there, and these has been used in the visualization for in the past, or and that is there in the Tableau as well, or the Power BI if you have any idea about the Power BI. So these are the charts which has a there it is in the pivot Excel as well, right? So Power Pivot, that is again additional tool in the Excel where you can add on and where you can create the different dashboards which are more aligned with the Tableau which you uses. So if you see the tree map, the tree map is something which goes from left to the right and towards the down, right? So if I compare Haryana, Delhi and Uttar Pradesh, so the Haryana has a maximum sales, as if I look for the total of all as compared to Delhi and then Uttar Pradesh, right? So these are the 3 respective areas where the tree maps is going to be assigned. And if I go for a Haryana company 1, right? So if I go for an individual, so there is a Haryana company 1 which is at the left corner having a maximum sales as compared to any other. So towards the right and towards the down, I am getting the values that is being in decreasing order, in the decreasing order. So if you can compare that, the company 4, company 6, company, I think it is 8 is there, 8, 9, right? So this company 4, company 6 is having a minimum sales as compared to any other company. So this is how you can go, and as compared in the Delhi, the company 7 is having the highest as compared to company 3, company 10 and company 5, right? So this is how you can have certain, if you have a certain like the TCS is there in XYZ location, so you can have X, Y, and Z. And similarly, there is another company which has a many locations, so it can be easily compared based on how the state is doing and how the company is doing at that particular location. So location wise, you can have based on the many other things that can be compared. Now there is another plot called as the box plot. Box plot is something which is one of the important visual for look for a single record. What is the trend of my number of data points in for Delhi, right? So I can find out what is the minimum value, what is the maximum value. Like in this particular case, you can see that if you look for the Uttar Pradesh, so upper box is higher one than the lower one. It means that the most of the values are there in this higher box, right, as compared to the lower one. And this is the middle value, this is the average value which is lying somewhere around the lower one, and there is a median which is as compared to the average. So this is how you can, if you are focusing on the one particular set of data points, then that can be seen in case of box plot. So if I think this can be skipped, so I can have. So now, because I think 1 hour we have, okay. So you all have Tableau in your systems. Have you installed Tableau in your systems? Udit, did the student have Tableau in their system?
Ma'am, we
No,
can
ma'am.
open it online.
Acha, fine. You can do online as well. Fine. Okay. So I just start with the Tableau introduction, and then we will move to the one exercise for the Tableau, so that I can touch upon all the points, basically the bars, like there are what is the visual of Tableau and how you can go about it. So Tableau is a paid there are different versions of Tableau. Like it has a online, it has a desktop, it has so I think that must be there. You have a different versions of Tableau. There is online, there is a server. So okay, so I just go. Time by time. So Tableau is a visualization tool. It is when you talk about the visualization tool, it is used in the business intelligence industry. Business intelligence is something that has come just after the data mining, right? So data mining, you can look for this. Then there is business intelligence, and then business intelligence, data science, everything has took over the analytics. The analytics has took over all this terms. So visualization, when we talk about the dashboards, it is more of the intelligence is related to the business intelligence. It helps in simple to the understandable format, as we have seen that you can have the number of creates, charts, etc., and use it. The technical, you do not have to require to be a technical knowledge of or a technical person or engineers or something. You can just have the data, and you can play around with different options, and you can learn the Tableau very well. The best features of Tableau is it has a data blending, it has a real time, it has a collaboration with data. Data blending. Data blending is something like, say, if my company is using a data in say Excel format, or it can be in the Oracle. I have a SQL server, right? So there are many more databases which are there in my system. So what Tableau works, Tableau can blend all the data sources into a one single data sources. So it has a capacity where if the data is coming in text, data is coming in Excel, data is coming in any other format, it combines all this data, and it is just you have to use the join, or you have to join the two table, or you have to join the two fields or something, and it consolidated all the data into it. Real-time analysis, there can be a Tableau systems, server systems, which can, like, say, if you can, there is a live example of when we have a corona, right? So you can have a daily update. We can have it can be a real-time update of corona cases, vaccination cases on the website. So they are using some real-time data analysis, and maybe they are using for the visualization Tableau or not, but the the Tableau is again look for, because whatever be there in the system of the government sites, the data is being imported according to the different centers that we have, either a vaccination or it can be RT-PCR test have done. And based on the data update, it automatically reflects to all our individuals app as well as the individual systems or individual websites. So that is having a real-time analysis. So real-time analysis is every hour, every minute, whatever is the update in the system, it is going to reflect. Similarly, as we do in the railways booking, or ticket booking, right, or air ticket booking. So as soon as we block the ticket, it has been, when again you show or again you open the portal, you will be getting the few like tickets less as compared to which you have done before. So it means that there is a real-time update. So real-time update is there in the Tableau as well if you are using a server option, and there are different options which are there. So when you extract the data, so there is an extract in the data format which is there. So you can extract the data, you can specify a certain timings for that. So if you see the bank transaction, The banking transactions, what the banks does, bank take all the transactions at their local servers or at the end of the day, maybe at 8 to 8 p.m. or maybe after that, they will update all the transactions, right? So to the individuals, like say it has happened in the server, and then it will be regulates to all the individuals computers at their different branches. So there can be that can be the one of options. Second option can be the real time. Whatever we have insert, it is going to reflect that we can see in our own account, right? So if you purchase something, it reflects as your account balance. So that is within or that is a real time update. But when you see that how the banks are offering, right? So it is not for on that particular point of time, but at the end of the day, the head branch or the main branch do that all the transactions into their server, and then it reflects is to maybe after some time. Similarly, when you see that the RT-PCR test, we get normal update at 8 p.m. At night, right? So or maybe in some it depends upon the different types of different states. So some states got the 8 p.m. update, some got the 6 p.m. update, and etc. So it means that they are into that at the local server, and once there is updated from the server, it has been reflected to all. Collaboration of data, you can have a collaboration to n number of data, and then it can be used as a common for all the businesses and all the research purposes, or it can be for the industry. These are the different types of suites which are there. There is a reader, there is a server, there is a online, so desktop is the paid version, right? So there is a public online where I think you must be using a online or a public version. Then you are using a public version. Then there is a server also. There is a reader also. Reader can only read the file. They cannot do any update on the Tableau, or they cannot change any settings. Right. So this is, I do not go into the in-depth of it, but I can simply start with the practice with the interface. So if I start with, so this is the first page of your Tableau interface where you have to install. If you have, this is, I am talking about the desktop, right? The public screen can start with directly from here. So if you had added in the public, you can see the left hand side, the options of the connection are limited. But if you are using a desktop version, there are more number of options for connections are there. When you talk about the navigation, so this is what is very important. So you can see that at the top bar there is a menu bar, and there is a down below there is a toolbar. Then there is a dimension, there is a measure, then there are sets, parameters that can be added, then there is a mark, right? So there is a different shelves which are there. And then you can create your own worksheet as well in the Tableau. So I think we can move simply to the Tableau, and I can start with the interface of Tableau so that I can give you the data as well. So I first share the data and then we can start with the first exercise. Can I upload the data in the chat?
Yes, ma'am, please.
Because I'm not seeing the option of adding a file.
There is an option of a pen below the where you type the message.
Below the
Attachment. There's an option for the attachment. Attach files.
In the chat box? In the chat box, I'm getting this option as format and then send. Okay, what can I do? I just forward it to Udit. Udit, can you upload it for me?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
मैं आपको WhatsApp पे I just forward. Udit, have you received it?
Yes, ma'am. I'm just uploading in.
So I just open a sheet. Right. So, are you able to see the Excel sheet?
No, screen is not visible.
I think now it is visible, right? Is it visible now?
Yes, ma'am.
So this is the file which I have shared with you. So the first thing that you have to see is what can be the parameters, what can be the features or the columns which are important for me to do any visual exercise, right? So if I can see that what these columns have. So this is a UK bank customer data. As the name specifies, right? So it is UK bank customer data. There are customer IDs, there are name of customers, name and surname are there. We have gender, we have age, we have region, we have job classification, the date of joining to this bank, and the balance which is there, right? So if I want to identify, or if I want to find out certain analysis, right, which particular people or which particular region I should have a target upon, which job classification I can target upon to increase my balance, or to basically balance wise if I want to find it upon, or if I want to find upon the age wise, gender wise, I can have the region wise clarity or region wise classification based on the job specification, job classification based on the balance which the people have, based on the customers balance the customer has, gender, as well as the age, and I can compare it with all the regions which are there in the UK, which has the bank account. Right. So the first of the thing is the columns which you have to identify for the analysis has to be there. The data has to be there, right? So if you have this kind of data and you go take a next step for in the Tableau to start with the analysis. So if I say, okay, if I share the Tableau sheet, right, so approximately you get the idea about what is my data, how my data looks like, right? Now we start with the visual analytics with this particular data, right? So is my screen is visible, Tableau screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. So I have, because this is a desktop version, so I can see there are many more options which are there, right? I can connect with okay. So if you can see that this data type is CSV format, right? So CSV will go with the, so what I have to do is I have to go for a text file, right? So if it is Excel format, I can look for this particular option, that is Excel. So basically what I have to do at the first step is, this is a Tableau interface. I have to start with some Excel or some data file, right? So I have to first apply a connect to my data file so that I can start working. So if I say a text file, because my file is the Excel file, the CSV file, and if I go for where the location of the file is, it is in the desktop with 29th Jan. I have this Excel file as a customer, right? UK customer. I open this particular file. It will take few seconds to open this file. Right. So if you can see that is the data source, right? So what all first step is, you have added the data. If you can see this data screen or a data source screen, there is an add button, right? So you have added one. If you want more data set to be added, you just have to press the add button. Just press the add button and that will open for the another. So you can have add in Excel or a text file into it, or if you want some other formats also to be added. That is a use of add button. Then there is an option called live and extract. Live, we are going for a live. Live is whatever you are updating, that is being maintained or that is being there in all the respective sheets of a dashboard. This extract version, you can specify it when you click on the extract. What does this extract means is, when you make it live, whenever you want to make it live, then first you extract in a, that's what we had discussed as a bank, like you can extract everything into the one server, and when you want to go live, then you can extract, then you click on the live and that will be live, right? So if you are using a live, the real-time data set, whatever be the changes being reflecting. But in case of extract, it is there at the repository, and when you make it live, then only it can be seen by the other by the users. If you see the down below, if you can see that there are the columns which are there, right? So here you can see that there is a column, customer IDs, customer name, gender, age, etc. There is a balance, etc. Right? So if you go right hand side, you will be getting all the options which are there in the which are there in the data set. So if you can see that there is the written as ABC and there is written as hash. So by default, Tableau, what it does, it has by its own understanding, it creates age as a number because there are the number details which are there, and ABC is the character, right? So what are the data types which are there? There are character, there are number, and if you can see that, is there any other data set? Is there any other data type? So if I can move down to, there are only two data types which are there as number and the character, right? So it has identified at the first level that there can be only the two types of data types in this particular data set. One is the number, one is the integer, and the another one is the character. And if I say that has it seems to be the date goes how it has mentioned, it has not taken as a date, it has taken as the character as well. So it is ABC as a character when we have used the date as well, right? So now once your data in place, so Tableau, what it does, you can go to the sheet one. So you have a data set. If you can see at the down below, there is a sheet one. If I click on the sheet one, sheet one, this is what the interface appears to me. This interface is something where I can create my sheets according to my objectives, right? So if I want to find out, if I want to see that what is going to be my region wise sales, right? So if I right, so if I see that, so this is the area where I can drop the field, right? This is the area where I can see the different colors, I can apply the filter, I can go for a column and rows. So I can just try with a very simple thing that I can just drag and drop the region here, right? So I get the different 4 regions that were there. So what I have done is I have simply select and drag to this region area. I want it to be with my sales, right? So I balance. So I can just put the balance here. I am not worried about where I should put here row and column. I just more concentrate on my center area and try to find out what all the sheets, sheet one, inside the sheet one, I can say that this is what is the sheet one is the region wise sales, right? Region wise sales. So if I say the region wise sales, which I just it has to be vice versa. I have the region wise sales, and this region wise sales I can say okay, and if I put it here, region wise sales, right? So this is my first sheet where I have used as region wise sales. When I click here in my area, right, in this area, there is a, or if you won't click it, if you can see that there is a show me at the right hand side, right? So I click on this show me. These are the options which I can use for my region wise sales. I can either go for a right column chart, a bar chart, I can go for a heat map, I can go for a this chart, I can go for a pivot, I can go for it. So these are the options which are highlighted, can be used for my region wise sales. So what basically, because in Excel you have a recommended chart option, right? But in based on the number of dimensions and number of measures, I am coming to what is measure and what is dimension. So based on the, because here we have taken one dimension and one measure, right? So it has a category as a region, and it has this as a number. And when I go for a plot, like say I want this plot to be done, right? So it has been done. If I want a chart to be in the standing order or in the horizontal, so right, so I get a horizontal chart, right? So is it clear? Yeah, clear? So I take a small question answers. Is it clear? Can we move further? Are you with me? Are you all with me?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. Okay. Can we move further?
Yes, ma'am.
So once we have done with okay, so let's move on for the other versions, other options as well. So this is the show me, which is depending upon the what all chart you will be using. If I see that in the left hand side, this hash, as we have seen, so this hash is considered to be a number, right? So it has taken as a customer ID as number. Right, so by default, it is considered as a number, the customer ID. Date joint is the ABC, which is considered. So whatever, so these are defined into terms of dimensions and measures. Measures are something which can be, measures are something which are in numbers, right? And dimensions are something which are kind of containers. So if I say the region is a container and it can collect, it can have the dimensions. Right, so if you have all the characters, whether it is repeated or not, that are being considered for the dimension, and the measure is which can be measured. So which can be in terms of number. It can be age. In this case, it can be age. It can be a balance. Right, and others like when you talk about the customer ID is something which is an ID, which cannot be a number, which can be not considered as number. Only you can have a count of customer ID. You cannot have a sum or the average of customer IDs, because customer ID is a unique ID which has been given to this thing. And then there is a date option which is also there. There's a gender. So gender is again ABC, that is considered to be a dimension. Job classification is again a dimension. Name is, you cannot do any analysis on name. Region, of course, you can have the analysis on region. So we had made this thing, like say supposingly if I want to consider, I already have a region, right? Now I am more focusing on this marks, right? What are these marks all about? So if I say that I already have a region wise, if I consider the job classification as my color, right? So what I have to do is I have to simply drag and drop. So now you can see that the balance, which is for the region, is further divided into the job classification. So if you can see that the job classification in England, if you can see that how does it makes about, so that is a white collar, right? So there is a legend also at the right hand side. So if you can see that the white color, white collar is a pink color, and the other is the orange color, and the blue color is the that is blue color. If you want to change it, like so, this is what you have done is you have used this color. Similarly, you can have a label, right? So if I click on the label, and if I say okay, if I say that I want if you can see that it has automatically considered the thing because it's a region, it's a England, and it's a right. But if you want this is what is coming into the detail, right? If you want any other information to be put on, right? So if I put age into the detail, so I get the age also to be printed as a maybe as a sum of age, or if you want to change it as an average, you can do that as well. So if I say the sum of age, right? If you say the blue collar, the England, as well as this, if you want any other information, you just have to put it into detail, right? So if you want suppose the any other detail, like say job classification, you have already done. If you want a job classification to be a number to be put it into this box, right? So you can have it as a text. So this is the job color, this is others, this is white color, right? So in this way, because there is space is less, so if you want to put something in the chart itself, then you have to use this text. Tooltip is this option, which is coming as the tooltip. If you want to change a tooltip, if you want to make it a little more readable or something, you have to make the size little more, or you want to make it as a bold, then you can make the changes in this tooltip. Right. So this is how, if you can consider, the job classification has become little larger, right? So this is how you can change the tooltip as well based on your requirement. Right. So we had created one chart that is a very simple horizontal chart that we have prepared. And then this classification I can move to in here, right? I have moved here so that I can use this space as well. So what I have done is I have created a chart 1. Now moving to the chart 2. Chart 2 mein what I want a region wise sales, region wise, but I want it to be in the map format, right? I want a map instead of the region as the 3 regions. I want it to be in the map format, right? So, I have England, I have Northern Ireland, I have Scotland and Wales. So I want it into the map format. So what I can do is I can here I can use this option. I can click here. I can go for the option called the change in the data type. That is the geographical role. I can go to state and province. Right. Now I can drag this to region. Now you can see that there is a longitude and latitude which is coming in. Here you can see that there is a 4 unknown value, right? At the right hand side down bottom, you can see that there is a 4 unknown. When you click on this 4 unknown, you have to edit the location because by default it has taken as India. So what I can do is I can change this location to United Kingdom. So because it is UK data, so United Kingdom. I have changed this location to United Kingdom, and if I say OK. Right. So this is a United Kingdom location because it is showing you the description. If you want it to be in the shape, colors, okay. And if you select as a map, so this is the United Kingdom data that you can have it, right? So this is a United Kingdom. So what you have done is, even you can take the states of the India and you can map it. It is there in the system. You can see so beautifully. You can have the maps created in the Tableau within a second. Right. So if you want to make a presentation where you will be using the region, so you select on the region, you can get the details of it. Right. So when you select on the region, so here you are not displaying anything. If you want a sales, if you want a balance to be displayed in the text, so these are the balances which are there in the sales. If you want this balance to not to be a sum, but you want it to be average, so you can change it to average as well. Or if you want to take it as a count, right? So instead of this, if you want to take it as a count, so you can have a count also. So there are total number of records, a total number of accounts which were there in the Scotland region, which were there in Northern England, which is there in Wales, and which is there in England. Right? If you want sales to be okay, if you want age, so fine. We have this number of records in this particular sheet, and these are the 4 regions which are there. So we had done with map. Any difficulty, any questions till now? Then I can take out your question and then we can move further to the next sheet. Is it
If
okay?
anyone has any questions, they can raise their hand or they can put it in the chat box.
You can raise your hands. You can put it in the chat box. I can take out the question and then we can take this session forward. Simran, is there any questions? Can I take it? No questions. All clear?
I have one question.
Yeah, please ask me.
What is the difference between a tree plot and your heat map? When to use
Tree plot and heat map. Heat map and tree plot. Tree plot. Okay, we will see in the Tableau itself, right? Over the exercise. Fine. So taking it to the further, if I had created a map as well, right? Now I can create a new chart, and because what I'm basically doing is I am creating different charts and then show you how to create a dashboard with all these charts. So that's why I'm creating a different charts for you. So let's focus on the gender, right? So if I create a gender, means the gender wise, if I want to find out the male and female, and if I want to find out the sales and balances, if I go for the chart, I can show. Achha, this is what is the chart for. Okay, I can go for a pie chart maybe, right? I can go for a pie chart here, and what I can find it out is I can have the number, percentage of people maybe for the count. So I can take the count here, right? So I can display this count here in the label, right? If I want to consider is the count of label, if I want to consider this as a percentile or a percentage. So let's see, there must be something in the format. There must be something. Now this is with the total, with the 0 decimal. Number with the grand total default. I can check. So maybe I have done something wrong. So if I can have another format, that you can play around with these options, where you can where you can see the options which are there, right? So if I right click this, I get this sheet options, the row options are there, column options are there, right? So these are the options which are available. So if I want a male and female to be written, I can simply have the male and female options. I can go to I can cross this out. I can have the male and female options to be written over gender. So I can put it as either detail or a label. So label, if I had put it as label, so it is coming as male and female. This is a heat map and this is the tree map. Both the same both I find it out like if I click on the heat map, let's see what happens, right? So this is a heat map, and if I click on this, so this is a tree map. Can you see the difference?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so it is in the table format. You have a left hand side, you have a columns, and it is when you go for a heat map, go for a tree map. Tree map is something which we have seen as as in the three regions. I have taken Delhi, I have taken Haryana, and I have taken UP. So that was the tree map option. So you based on the columns, based on the bigger is the column, the bigger is the values of it. So that can be seen if I go for a this chart. So this is there. If I consider the gender name, so I can have a region. No, I can have a gender. I can display as a this thing, and I can have a count which can be displayed as here, right? So this way you can have a male female options. Let's go for a age. So if I go for a age bifurcation, right? Okay. So I can have a age bifurcation. So when I consider the age of a people, I can just double click the age and try to find out based on the region. If I consider the region wise age, or if I can make it as, because this is something which has grouped as the age. If I want to take it as a dimension, I can consider it as a discrete, maybe, okay, format dimension, right? And if I take this age, okay, just I open my so basically what I have to do is I have to use the bin option, and where I can categorize my age as well as the balance into it. So if I we have done gender wise, then so you have to take the age and the measure value. Right, so I can have the age and the measure value, and I can see the plot if I want a bar. So this is going to be the bar, right? So here you can click upon the different options which are there. So I have a bar, I have a circle. So these are the different options which are there. So if you can see that that is based on the number of the records. So there is a one record called 15. There is one record called 17, which has this much. And if I remove everything, so it is the age and this thing. So now based on the number of records, it is showing me the sum of age. Okay, it is showing me the sum of age if I want to take a measure value. Okay, so it is showing me the age and the number, right? So what I want is basically I want a count, right? So I want a count of the number. I don't want the measure. So this is the count of the number. So if I say the age, the count is 4. The 4 age is 17. There are 4 people. If I say the age is 18, there are 30 people, and so on, right? So there are maximum people who are there. So this is for the whole record. Right, it is not defined as a region wise or anything, but that is for the whole record. So what I can do is I can create the different clusters of it, which will be helping me in my option where I can create the bins. So each you can create a bin, and based on the bin option, you can specify the minimum, maximum, and the slab. So that will help you in defining the a much clear option of the bin which you are creating. So if I say this, if I go to the age, and if I right click, I say create and say bin. Right, so I have a minimum value, I have a maximum value. By default the bin sign is this. If I go for, say, suppose 10, right, so I have an option, say 15, then it is 25, and so on, and it covers with and there is suggested bin which was there. I go for a 10 so that I can have 5 bins, 5 rods, 5 containers, and the number of records. So if you can see that now the age bin has created, and this is different than this age. This is by default you have used the age. So if you use the age bin, now it has become a character value, right? So you will be using the age, you will be not using the age. So this is the 5 bins which are there. So what basically you have done is, instead of taking the each and every record, now you have calculated or you have collected the different bins, so that it will be giving you a clear-cut idea about which region is coming and having the more of that particular age margin. Similarly, you can create for the balances as well, right? Same type of chart you can create for a balance as well. So now what I can do, that you can do it by yourself because the time is short. So what I can do is I can take you to how to create a dashboard. So if I click on this dashboard, what is dashboard all about? Dashboard is the collection of sheets, and it is, when we call it as a dynamic dashboard, when I click a particular region, it will automatically creates or automatically changes to all my other fields. So if I say I want a region map wise, right? So I just I just double click it. I just put the gender here. I also put the age here, right? So what I have done is, which now you can make it as more compatible to your screen, right? If you want to use, like, say, these are the 3 charts which are there. One is the gender wise, one is the so I can just leave it, and then I will show you. So these are the regions which are there. I click on the region, right? So this region is selected. If I click on the another region, if I click on the another region, so what I want is, when I click on this particular region, I want all the things, means the age-wise chart as well as the gender should be reflected to this particular region only, right? So there is a simple option where you can use this filter. I can use this filter, right? When I click on this particular filter, right? Now it is going to be reflecting according to my region. So if I say my Scotland, so Scotland may you have the ratio of the male and female is something like this. Then if you go for age, the age, you can see that approximately the same number of records, same number of accounts for the age 40 and 50. Right, and there are very less record for age 10, 20, and 30. If I go for a Scotland, if I go for a Northern Ireland, I can see that there are more accounts which has been created for the 20 and 30 age, and the number of records for female are much more than male, which is something to be looked about. Similarly, you can have for the England, right? So if I click here, I can get the clear visualization for both the male and female, so that I can have a better understanding. I can put it into the better presentation while discussing about what I have done, right? So if I look for the Wales, this is the clear picture about the Wales. You can drag it to the next, like, say, supposedly if you want to make it more clear, so you can have it somewhere here, or you can if you know what is male, because male and females are already written, so you can put it across. Or you can just take it to the right hand side. So you do not want it to be here, you just or you do not want this to be here, you can just take it and just put it at the right hand side. So now you have two charts. If you want to this charts to be little shorter, then you can have it a little shorter version, and then you can place it at the top. So now it is much more visible. Similarly, you can, right? So you can have here, you can have this, you can have this, right? So you can, I think I have given you much idea, a better idea. If you don't want to select any of them, then you can click at the background. So if you want to click this, you want to click this. So these are the 4 regions that can be seen. And if you want for all, then you can have it like this. If you want to select 2, then you can have this, and with control you can have the another option as well. So if you want to see for Northern England as well as the Scotland, then this will be the chart. If you want only the Northern Ireland to be there, then this will be the chart. Right. So I have given you a broad understanding how to create how to use the Tableau, what are the different options, important options which are there in Tableau, how to create a dashboard. Then there is another option where you can create a storyline, right? So I can create a storyline with this, right? So this is the storyline which is there. You can have a dashboard into it, right? And you can have a caption where you can see that where you can see for if you can say that it is for all. So if you say the dashboard, okay, so if you say this is the dashboard, so this is, you can write a caption for say overall details of UK bank sales, right? Then when you create or when you look for the new option, this thing, then you can only look for only call about the Scotland. So how Scotland affects or Scotland interprets the results. So if you click on the Scotland, you can always say about the Scotland, that how it behaves. It has more number of males. What about the collar workers? What about the region? Region we have already taken. What about the job classification? What about the age, right? So you can discuss region wise for gender, for age, for job classification, for balance. So for all the things you can discuss upon. If you, so I just summarize the whole, what all we have discussed, or what all are the key points. If you have a dimension, then you can always you can only look for a count kind of thing. But if you have a measure, then that can be considered as a measure where you can have a sum average kind of thing with respect to any dimension. Also you can create as a bin also. You can use it as a bin also, where you can see that what is the maximum number of usage. If you go for any of this region, what is the maximum age, or say what is the age in between people who have the accounts. So that you can target upon. Like say if I want to target for England, I can target more people at the age of 30, because I am getting more business at this age of 30. And if I want to see that which is more preferable to me, so there are two, both are more preferable, right? So I can target to male as well as female. I am getting a business for my bank from the 30. If you can compare it with the balances also, then you can have your interpretation according to that as well. Right. So any questions, anything? So that we can have, we are having 10 minutes to take out all your questions. Anything which you want to describe or you want to details in more, so I can just take you through.
If anyone has any question, they can put it in the chat box or they can raise their hands.
Yeah, Udit is having a question. Yes, Udit.
Yes, ma'am. My question is that what is the efficient way to handle the outliers?
Okay. So, efficient way, yeah, there are different ways. You have to handle it very carefully. Like we do outliers in the case where it can be considered as if it is not very important, then it can be removed from the system. Like say supposingly if you have thousands of records and there are like say there are because outliers are something which are not entered properly or which are right. So it can be like say if you have all the records between 5 to 25 and you get a value as 0, or you get a male female and you had written a 1 and 0 for male and for female, and there is another field like say 5 or something which is number which is entered. So it can be considered, it can be beautifully considered. There is not a hard and fast rule to consider. What the rule says that how to consider the outlier. But like say if you have a record of thousands of record, then you can remove those records which has a outlier if it is not very much important for your data set. But if it is important for the data set, then it is viably said that you have to take the third quarter. Like say if in the scale, if it is so whatever be the less than or a greater than. So if it is a less than value, like say if it is 0 and your normal curve is having a normal average is suppose 50 or something, then you have to take the median value, the first quartile value. And if it is towards the higher side, then you have to take the third quartile value. So it is something where, but it is not an hard and fast rule. It is totally depending upon, you have to take a call on the outlier. So there are separate this thing where you have to, for which kind of record you have to take which, like say if it is a number which is defining a male and female, then you cannot do anything. So either you have to remove it, or you have to go for others kind of thing, like say male, female and others. So you can put all those values into the others. If you have only 5 colors and there are the sixth value which is there, then again it can be considered either you have a separate button like a folder for it, or you have to make a certain category. But if for a number, either you can take an average. In some of the cases, it is recommended to take an average. In some of the cases, it is recommended to, because if it is more spread over a thing, then it is considered to be the first quartile or a third quartile. So again, it depends upon the data, but there are certain videos and certain which are there in the Google. If you search it out, how to train that, so it will give with respect to the example, it will show you. So accordingly, you can apply. Udit, I think I have answered your question.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, ma'am.
Yes. Any other questions? Anything which comes in your mind, then you can speak about it. Yes, Smriti, can you ask?
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, my question is that how can we handle our data if we have lots of null values? Should we completely drop them?
It again depends upon number of values. Like say if you have only 100 values and 25 are blank, right, then it is not recommended to draw, or 50 are blank, then it is not recommended to this thing. But again, it depends upon the which value is blank. Is it a crucial value which is blank? Like say if you are looking for like this kind of data, if there is a balance, your more work is based on the balance and the balance is null. Right. So in that particular case, you cannot, you have to avoid that particular column. But if it is a huge set of data, like say if the 50 values are blank, In that case, you have to take a call, right? And you have only, but if you have if you have a thousands of data, and then if there are 50 are blank, you can ignore them and move ahead. So it depends upon how crucial is your data and how crucial is your analysis. If you have only 10 records and 5 records having balances is blank, right? And if you make it as this thing, so if you see that the overall trend is going to be changed with those 5 values, either you can take 0 or you can take 0.25 or you can take the median first quartile or a third quartile. In that case, if the scenario is completely changing, then you have to take a call on it. Right, for the null values, there are again separate this thing. Again, null values के लिए normally you go for an average. What is the average values of other 5? Then you have to skip for, you have to use that as an average value. That is normally recommended, but again, you have to look for a set of data. If the set of data is huge, you can remove it. If the set of data is small, then you can use the average value. Right, Simriti?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, Gaurav. Mm-hmm. Gaurav, what I recommend you because if you see the Tableau and if you see the 𝘔𝘰𝘯𝘪, it is totally different spectrum. Like it depends upon if the company, and it is not only Tableau, you have Power BI, you have Power Pivot, right? So there are many more options which are also there. But Tableau is like say whenever you say, because as a student, what I recommend to learn a new language is don't spend money in at least getting a version of and spend money in learning basically, right? If you get a free course, try to have an ample of courses with you, put it in the resume and have a awareness of that. But landing to a job of analytics, Tableau is going to help you? No. Right, because Tableau is something which is for the different spectrum of people and it is used by the specific company. If the company using the Tableau hires you because of Tableau, right? But as a present scenario, if you are an undergraduate, if you are a graduate student, you should be open to all the skills which you can consider and try to go for a free courses. There are many free courses of Udemy which is available. Try to have those free courses. Learn it properly, make it put it into your CVs and open for the option. If the company, because company is using Tableau, then only they will ask the particular person to be a Tableau efficient, right? So, and you also cannot rely only on Tableau. So you have to have a handful skills of any other. So keep it open mind. I think I have given you a walkthrough to the Tableau. If in future you are going to use it, you can easily grab it. There is nothing rocket science in Tableau. So you just have to spend much of time, 4 or 5 hours if you spend on the Tableau. I think that is sufficient enough to learn the Tableau. If you are not using a particular coding kind of thing, because if you are not going for any professional things into that, I think this much is sufficient. If you are creating a chart, you are creating a dashboard, that much is sufficient. And if the company requires it, they will train you. That's what I believe. Right? So just have like 6 hours courses in Udemy and in YouTube's are available. You just go through the 6 hours courses sufficient for Tableau to just go through the whole journey of Tableau. And if it is required by the company, you can always learn afterwards. And the company even give you the training for that as well. Yeah, Ishita.
Yes, ma'am. My question is, can SQL be connected to Tableau, or does it have to be an Excel or CSV file?
No. See, there are many more options. If I can see it, if you can see. Okay, just a minute. You can see my Tableau, right? Is it shared? You can see the Tableau screen, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes. So this is the desktop version which I'm using. So if you can have a data source, I think a new data source. So you can see that these are the options. Can you see, Ishita? This is Excel, text, JSON, PV, right? This, if you click on more, this is something which is there. If you can see, there is a SQL Server, SQL, Oracle. Then if you click on more, so these are the options which are available. And if you can have it like, so these are the options which are there. So these are all can be linked to the Tableau. These are different data sources, different like Amazon there must be 4-5 data sources which are there. That can be Azure there. Apart from this, you have a MySQL, you have a SQL Server. So all can be connected to Tableau. You simply have to give their credentials, user ID and password, and based on the server details that can be connected to your Tableau. Right?
Okay, thank you, ma'am.
I think we can take one more question. Okay, Ishita, I think we are done with your question. Okay, any other question? Anything which comes on your mind related to data analysis, related to anything, or you can give your question. I can put my number if you want to connect to me related to any guidance. So you can call me, message me.
Ma'am, I think now we can conclude the session.
Fine. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am, for such an informative and enlightening webinar. You provided with really valuable information, and it is indeed a really great addition to our skill set and knowledge. Now, I would like to request Bhavna ma'am to deliver the vote of thanks.
Yeah, thank you, Simrat, and thank you, Monika ma'am. And it's really a very informative session for our students. And because of the pandemic, the students are not able to come to the college, and in fact, we people are losing a sense of having a physical interaction with the students. So, such type of webinars definitely are helping our students to learn the things at their own pace, and definitely the students will look more into this Tableau features. And thank you for providing us a good of your time and valuable session to all. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much. Thank you to the organizing team. Thank you to all the students. All the best to all the students. Be safe at your home. Right?
Yeah. Thank you. So participants can now leave one by one.